This is a Marching Mammoths Irish read-along wrap-up. To be honest with you, I haven't been able to do a lot of the Irish read-along this week. So last week, I don't remember if I did one of these last week, but let's start with Remembrance of Things Past in Proust. That was my Mammoth book. As of right now, I'm on page 720. I should finish page 750 today. I've been reading 30 pages a day, every day so far. And to be honest with you, for a while now, that has been a struggle. Essentially what has gone on is I've read through Swan's Way, which was the first book, which ends with Swan in love, which ends with this character who, the narrator, who I think we have to assume is in some way a representation of Proust himself. This character, Swan, falls in love with a woman named Odette, who is a woman of, well, questionable character. She would be a woman at the time period who people might have thought of as being along the lines of a courtesan. And from time to time, Proust actually refers to Odette in that exact way. But he falls in love with her, and there's an incredibly long kind of tortured description of essentially Swan being in love with Odette and finding out, of course, that she is cheating on him, and finding out that she's even engaged in lesbian activities, which is kind of the most shocking thing in Proust. It's not the first time, I don't know, I think I mentioned this to you before in another video, that representations of lesbian characters have come up. But despite all these things, you know, Swan finds himself in love with Odette. He convinces himself to fall out of love with Odette, which goes on for some time. And you think, okay, well, you know, this has happened. He's decided for the good that Odette isn't for him, that she's not worthy of who he is. You know, for reference, Swan is a fairly high up member of French society at the time. And that's kind of where, you know, Swan in Love ends. And then the second book in volume 1 is called Within a Budding Grove. And then you find out within a budding grove that Swan has in fact married Odette. Exactly how that came about I haven't gotten to yet. But he's married Odette, and now the narrator, who again I think we have to take as Proust, is a little bit older, and he falls in love with Swan and Odette's daughter. And so a lot of Within a Budding Grove deals with that relationship, deals with, you know, that idea, which, you know, really parallels Swan's relationship with Odette is paralleled by the narrator's relationship with Swan's daughter. And just like Swan had decided to give up Odette, the narrator decides to give up Swan's daughter, that he's going to intentionally fall out of love with her. And there are some really poignant, effective, incredibly perceptive passages about how love works on the human mind, and about, you know, I think Proust would say how love deranges us and makes us think things that aren't true. And essentially the narrator just makes up his mind that he is going to break up with Swan's daughter so that Swan's daughter will fall in love with him, even though he realizes the whole time that this is not going to make Swan's daughter fall in love with him. But he does it anyway. And at the point where I am right now in the book, he has essentially succeeded in creating this break with the girl that he loves, which he did intentionally as a way of getting her to love him. It is one of those things which, you know, on some level you go, well, this is just the silliest thing. No one would behave this way. And then when you remember what it was like to be in love with someone who wasn't as in love with you, perhaps, as you were with them, or you doubted the person loved you or felt about you the way they did, you may know that you will go to some extremes of twisted logic to justify your actions in that situation. Anyway, that's kind of where I am right now, and I'm waiting for that moment when Proust reveals what is really going on. From time to time, you know, it's been a struggle some days getting through my reading of Proust, and from time to time I've just essentially, my mind is just shut down, and I've said that's enough. I can't continue to try to think about every word that's on the page, and I get kind of lost in this morass of description and you know, chasing rabbits and going off down all kinds of directions in Proust's thinking. And then all of a sudden it's as though he did it on purpose to lull you into this sense of, you know, almost boredom and almost feeling that you knew everything that was going on and that everything was pointless. And all of a sudden there's this moment where he just kind of clearly speaks directly to you as the reader, and something is clarified in a very real and powerful way. And I'm waiting for that to happen again with these kind of dual parallel love stories of Swann and Odette, and the narrator and Swann's daughter. The only other thing I've really been able to read for the last 2 weeks, because last week was spring break, this week I had to go back to work teaching, and I've had some tests to grade, and I have research papers that are about to be turned in today. As a matter of fact, when I get to school, the only other thing I've been able to read is the Táin Bó Cúailnge, which is the Irish epic about Cuchulainn that I've been reading. I am buddy reading this with Crystal from Biblio Atlas. We had a hard time making a connection and getting together with one another, but I am buddy reading with her, and I've only really read about 20 pages of it in the last few days. But I am enjoying it for the most part, and I do find it really interesting. So that's where I am in the Irish read-along. That's where I am in my Marching Mammoths reading. I hope you enjoyed this confusing, bumpy ride to work, and that you have a good day. Thanks for watching.